Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life, and today I've got the lovely Sarah Aspinall with me. She's a trained dancer and ballet teacher, a former lawyer as well, based in the UK with a mum of two children. She helps busy women in their 40s and beyond to prioritise their health and fitness using short and effective ballet-inspired workouts and the latest transformational mindset coaching techniques. Her mission is to empower women to develop strong, toned bodies and to allow them the time and space they need to achieve the future they desire with ease and clarity. It sounds amazing. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to
Hi,
first
Nikki.
just find out a little bit more about your background and why you changed from law to ballet.
Yeah, good question. Thank you for inviting me on. I dance. I started dancing when I was 2 years old, primarily because I was a painfully shy child, and my mum was trying to find ways to help my confidence. Tried lots of different things. Ballet was the right fit for me. I absolutely loved it, and I danced all the way through till I was 18. I got a scholarship for ballet school when I was 14. So at that point, I had to make a decision. What was I going to do? Was I going to go down that path, or was I going to go down a more academic route? My my parents were keen for me to go down the academic route. I don't think ballet at the time was considered the best option in terms of career. Particularly, I was quite a bright child, and my parents were trying to do the right thing, and I had an interest in law. So I was sort of swayed away from that ballet route and eventually went off to university to do a law degree. Fast forward a few years, I became a lawyer in the city, a litigator. So I ended up in London, chained to a desk for most of the day, and working really long hours. So very, very different career path.
And what happened then?
Well, during that time as a lawyer, I think I did, even when I went to university, sort of lost my way a little bit with my fitness, my exercise. I danced all my life, and this wasn't just one class a week. It was everything. It was 4 or 5 times a week, right up until I was 18. Went off to university, fully embraced the university lifestyle, which didn't really involve a lot of healthy eating or exercise. Went to the city, and as I say, was working really, really long hours. I mean, I remember one week as a trainee going in at 8 o'clock Monday morning, and I didn't leave until Thursday evening. It was crazy. And there came a point where I started struggling physically. So I was getting aches and pains, and my digestive system wasn't great. I was getting headaches, and I was like, I need to move my body. I really do need to do this now. And I've spent so many years not doing it. So I started trying to find ways of doing that. And I would get up at 5 to get on the tube and go to the gym, which was opposite work. I did that for a while, hate the gym, hated it then, still don't like it. Then I tried running. So I'd go out running at lunchtime. I tried kickboxing. I tried, you name it, I tried it. Desperately trying to find something. But there was something missing. I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I then discovered a lady who, in Wapping, where I lived, was teaching the New York City Ballet workout. It doesn't even exist now. But she was over from America and she was teaching those classes. So I thought, wow, okay, great. I went and did that and absolutely fell in love with it. But she moved back to America. So then I was left in the same situation again and couldn't find anything similar. And I loved it because when I was younger, I had danced because I loved dancing. But what I had realized at that point was, as an adult, I could still enjoy doing it, but now I was doing it in some ways for a slightly different purpose. I was doing it to help keep off those aches and pains and move my body and exercise. It's a form of exercise. I hadn't really thought of it as that as a child, or as a teenager. So that really captured my imagination. And when she left, I was, back to square one. And that's when I started thinking, there's a real gap here. There's something missing. And things have changed a lot since then, of course, with bar workouts and things. But that's what really started making me think, I love doing this. And is there a way for this to happen for other women as well. And so, yeah, I was sort of 10 years post qualification. I was still working crazy hours. By this point, I was doing a lot of libel work. So it was very unpredictable. I might be planning to leave the office, for example, at 7:30 in the evening. My phone would ring and I would think, oh God, no. And I'd have to pick it up, and it might be a model or something who'd been caught, snorting cocaine at a party or something, and they didn't want it going into the newspapers. And I'd be there all night with a barrister trying to get injunctions to stop the papers printing things. And it was becoming more, even though I'd always worked long hours, I think as I had progressed and I was thinking about marriage and children and that kind of thing, I was thinking, how am I going to have this family life and any life outside of this office when I'm working these very unpredictable hours? I also had an incident on my 30th birthday, a kind of near-death experience where that really, really changed things for me. I'd actually gone to New York and celebrated my 30th birthday there with a friend. And we were going back to the hotel one evening, or that evening on my birthday, and we got mugged at gunpoint outside the hotel.
Oh,
And it was a very unpleasant experience. He at the end of taking all our stuff, sort of told us to turn around. He asked us to turn our backs to him. And yeah, I just remember holding my friend's hand, shutting my eyes, thinking, this is it. And I think after that really made me think about my life and what I was doing. And it changed everything. And I came away from that thinking, I need to make the most of every single day. I need to do what I want to do. I need to find my passion. I need to do something that just feels more meaningful to me. And then, it was within 2 years of that incident, I was married. I'd had my first child. I'd left the law, and I had set up and trained as a dance teacher and set up and had classes. So everything turned around in that 2-year period. Yeah.
wow. It just makes you wonder what would have happened if you hadn't have had that experience. Hey?
Yeah, it's like sliding doors, isn't it? The movie. Yeah.
And you called your new business Breaking Ballet. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, it's twofold, really. I think part of it was to acknowledge and recognize that shift that I had gone through and how I had broken down any barriers for me in terms of my career, my life, my lifestyle, and breaking through that and realizing I can have something more. I can change and have the confidence to do that. I can break down the stories I'd been telling myself about being this very, very shy person and almost pigeonholing myself into this identity of being a lawyer and the successful woman in the city, and having followed also other people's expectations of me, I think, and lived those rather than living my own. So I was breaking all of that down. But also the flip side of that was I was acutely aware that women as adults have a lot of barriers towards exercise in the first instance, but particularly ballet, because people have all these preconceptions about ballet, and I need to be really coordinated. I need to be super slim and bendy, and I need to be
Able to
young.
stand on my toes, and yeah.
Yeah, I need to wear, and I have to wear a leotard if I'm going to do it, God forbid, and I need to stand on my toes, all of those things. And I think those are barriers for women. And I suppose in some ways, when I went back to doing that first New York City ballet class that I was talking about, there was a part of me that was thinking, oh God, is everyone going to be in leotards and little frilly skirts and be amazing ballet dancers? Even though I danced all my life, I hadn't done it for a long time. So I wanted to help women break down those barriers, not just the barriers for ballet, but the barriers to exercise. So, so many of us have all those limiting beliefs about what our story is and who we are. And, oh, I've got no willpower. Oh, no, my body can't do that. Oh, I'm too old. I get asked that question all the time. Am I too old to start, ballet workouts? And they're like 36. I'm like, no. So, it all just, that name just seemed to do it for me. It represented something personal for me, but also what I was striving to do, what my mission was, to help women break down those barriers.
Amazing, amazing. And why did you target women over 40 in particular?
I think when I started, I was probably mid-30s, and my body had started changing. I'd had 2 children by that stage, my mid-30s. And I know that post 35, and all your listeners will know this because you talk about it a lot, our body does start changing, our hormone profile changes, our metabolism changes. And I only teach and can talk about things that I have experienced myself with integrity. So I can relate to those women. I understand the problems that they're having. I understand the mental barriers that we have, particularly with comparing what we are physically able to do now compared to what we did in our teens and our 20s. I have lots of ladies, lots of clients who've done ballet as children, a lot that haven't, but some that have, and they are almost paralyzed into doing the workouts because they're like, I'm so fearful of doing it because it's not going to look like it did when I was 20. I'm like, well, no, of course it isn't. And I recognize that, a woman in her 40s is a very different, has a very different set of issues to deal with than a woman in her 20s. Not only are we going through these hormonal changes and this aging process, which can be something to navigate, obviously, I think it's a time in our lives where we are having so many demands placed upon us from children, if you've got children, elderly parents, career, you name it, it's happening. And so the time or inclination that we have for exercise diminishes so much, and we end up putting ourselves right at the bottom of that list. And so I feel really strongly about helping women climb their way back up to the top of that list and start thinking about exercise in a different way, and start coming away from the aesthetics of it and focusing a little bit more on exercising and moving your body for the health benefits, which I know you will talk a lot about, with your listeners. But the aesthetics come as a sort of side product to all of that, of course.
Yeah, and I think particularly in the last year when we've all been stuck at home and everything's online now, and you don't have to look great in a class anymore. You're not competing with the person next to you. So I think actually, hopefully that's made it easier for you, to lead those classes, even though, you're online or whatever. But I think it's definitely easier for us to participate in them because, we hopefully a little bit less inhibited, I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's made things easier for people finding online classes. And I do both. I teach in-person classes, or at least I will do when we're allowed to go back to doing that. But I found that setting up my online membership, it was fantastic for women because my whole ethos with exercise is 15-minute workout. You don't need to be working out for hours on end. As I just said, we're time poor. We also, don't have the same level of energy that we had. And if we don't enjoy exercise, we're not going to commit to doing it for an hour at a time. So a 15-minute workout on a daily basis that you can do in your pajamas if you want to is absolutely the way forward. And I have seen so many of my members flourish and getting amazing results. And, it's been life-changing for them to be able to not only accept that way of being and not have that mentality of, I have to kill myself every time I work out and then starve myself in order to get the results I want, which is totally counterproductive when we get into our 40s and beyond, of course. But is first of all accepting that, we need to accept the aging process, embrace it, and adapt the way that we do things. And that can be done at home, and it can be done in 15 minutes. But also to accept that if you are struggling to work out and it's something you don't particularly like doing, to accept that that's totally normal. We didn't evolve to exercise. We just didn't. It's not a normal thing to do. Our ancestors stayed fit because they were having to, hunt and gather, and they were moving on a daily basis to survive. So we don't have to do that now, because we don't even have to get up off our sofa. We can click something and have food delivered or a takeout, whatever. We're not having to do that, but neither did we evolve to be sat on the sofa the whole time watching Netflix. So I think, a lot of women feel shame and guilt over not working out. And I try to help them see exercise as something that is fantastic for your health and can make you happy. And you can do that from the comfort of your own home. And it doesn't have to feel heavy. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to feel like another thing on your to-do list.
Yeah, brilliant. And what are the benefits of this 15-minute workout that you do?
Well, I think the benefits of a 15-minute workout, particularly the ballet workouts, 15 minutes is doable. What else can you do in 15 minutes? I bet you flip through Netflix for longer than 15 minutes. My husband certainly does. I bet you take longer ordering a takeout in 15 minutes. So it's something that's totally doable. Everyone can find 15 minutes. And, so many people say, I don't have the time. I haven't got the time to exercise. Well, you do have 15 minutes. Everyone's got 15 minutes. The beauty of the ballet workouts, I think, is they're very effective. They're high intensity, but low impact. So again, that kind of suits a lot of ladies in their 40s and beyond, if they have knee issues or hip issues, all those little niggles that we get. But they're doable, and mentally it's something that we can fit in. But I think the ballet as well, you're using completely different muscles than you might use in any other form of workout. It helps with your posture. So it really helps you to connect with how you're moving throughout your normal daily life, because you're a little bit more in tune of your posture and how you're holding yourself. Your flexibility, it's great for that. And it's not, we're not doing ballet workouts so that we can get into the splits. This is just about maintaining either maintaining your range of movement or increasing it, so that you're less likely to get injured getting the shopping in and out of the boot of the car, or frankly even getting out of bed. Sometimes you sort of tweak something. It's keeping things mobile, because the more range of movement we have, the more mobile we are, the younger we're going to feel, and we'll stay younger for a bit longer. And that, combined with better posture, we're not going to end up as a little old lady with the hunched back. And so it's doable. It ticks all the boxes for women who are trying to lift their metabolism, and alongside weight loss and toning and all the other things that people are looking to get for their workouts. But I think for me, one of the strongest benefits is the effect on your mental well-being, because it's such a wonderful in the moment activity. You're not focusing on the dumbbell or the kettlebell or whatever it is you're doing, or watching the television when you're on a treadmill. You really do have to connect with your body, because there are so many things to think about, not least your posture, but all the way that you're moving your body. You have to focus on your body. So many of my clients have come on a Monday morning into class and been a bit, oh God, Monday morning. And they've done an hour's workout and then been like, do you know what? I didn't think once about any of the issues that I had arrived with. And I feel so much better. And so that the benefits of, alleviating any stress, anxiety, that kind of thing as well, is very powerful.
I think it's similar. It's a similar job than that yoga does. In that sense, that it's very mindful. You have to be really concentrating on what you're doing. Exactly. And what would you say to women who are kind of struggling to be a bit more consistent with their exercise? I'm asking for me now.
Yeah, I think first, what I've just touched on, it's not your fault. It's perfectly normal. We didn't evolve to exercise, but we have to acknowledge that we do need to do it. for our health. Secondly, again, as I said, embracing that aging process rather than comparing what you were doing in your teens, or your 20s, or even in your 30s, is embracing that and finding ways to move your body and feel good with what you have now. And rather than looking back, looking forwards and thinking about future proofing, working now so that you are looking after your body in the future as well. And then the most important steps I would say that you need to take if exercise is not your thing and you really don't like it, there's three things. You need to see exercise as something that's necessary. Secondly, something that's enjoyable. And thirdly, you need to reward yourself for it. So you're thinking about necessity. No, not with cake. No, it has to be in alignment with the goals that you're setting, of course. But necessity, I think, so many of us, if you're slim and you don't have any health conditions, people could be saying to themselves, well, I don't really need to do it. I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm not ill. So you're not necessarily having those benefits top of mind all the time. So thinking about your why, thinking about what is important to you in your life. And some people say, oh, well, I want to lose a few pounds. I want to trim down my tummy. I want to, drop a dress size, whatever. They're all aesthetics. If you ask yourself, well, why do you want to drop a dress size? Oh, so I can get back in that really lovely black dress I've got. Well, you could buy a new black dress. No, but I want to get into that one. But why? Well, I'll feel more confident. Okay, now we're getting to it. So if you keep drilling down and asking yourself, well, why? Why is this important? 99.9 times it comes back to something to do with your health. And that could be, I want longevity. I want to be able to get up and down off the floor playing with my grandchildren without having to hold on to something or worrying about pulling a muscle. Or so what is your why? And really trying to drill down on what's necessary. Finding something that is simple, something that doesn't require a ton of equipment, that's achievable. So as I talked about, that 15-minute workout. And then finding accountability. So whether that is joining a class with a friend, buddying up, joining an online fitness course or membership where you've got that accountability set up there for you as well. And then finding something enjoyable. And this is a tricky one, because you need to find something you enjoy. So if you absolutely hate running, there's no point in forcing yourself to run. And that's controversial because some people say, well, yes, but if you stick to it, you'll eventually enjoy it. But if you're just starting out and you want to get into the rhythm of it and start building up your strength and stamina, it does need to be something that you enjoy to begin with. I'm not saying you're going to enjoy it every single time. Of course you're not, because there'll be days where you're tired or you're very busy and you don't want to do it. But those are the really, really important days, of course, when you need to do it. So finding that thing that's enjoyable, making it sociable. Again, doing it with friends or joining a group where you're with like-minded women who can understand what you're going through, have similar issues, and that can, really support you in that way. And focusing on that feeling you get when you've finished the workout, really trying to bottle that so that when you come to do your next workout and you don't feel like it, you can say, okay, when I did the last one, I felt amazing, and I'm going to feel amazing again in 20 minutes time when I finish this. And then, as you say, reward, making sure that reward is in alignment with your goals. So it's not, I've done a 15-minute workout, now I'm going to, eat a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's as a reward. It's things like, well, can you work out every day for 30 days? And at the end of that, are you going to treat yourself and a friend to a spa afternoon, or something that sits well with what you're trying to achieve in your life, whether that's more calm, stress relief, toning up, feeling good in your bikini in the summer, or whatever it is, buying yourself a new bikini. But that reward part, I think people do tend to miss out. And that's really, really important that we're acknowledging our wins as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Such good advice for everyone, because we all go through these objections in these phases and this resistance, isn't it? So
absolutely.
How can listeners experience your workouts and your style of teaching?
Yeah, so I've got a free challenge, which is on my website. So if people head to breakingballet.com, and they will see at the top of there, it says free challenge. And that's a free 5-day challenge where they have a workout, 15-minute workout sent to their inbox each and every day so that they can experience those workouts, experience my style of teaching, and our community as well, our Breaking Ballet community.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been brilliant talking to you. And I'm sure lots of people were going to be considering ballet as a new exercise option if they haven't done before. I think it's brilliant. And good luck with it. And I'll talk to you very soon. Take care.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks for having me.
Bye.